It's the Wedding Dance Crochet Along Square. Let's make this together. Welcome to Good Knit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. Today's video is part 1 of the 12-inch Wedding Dance Crocheted Square. It looks just like this, and it looks like this. You can even use it for a main stitch pattern. It looks like people dancing at a wedding. It is one of the squares, actually the very middle square in a wedding Afghan blanket, or you can make them all up out of this. So to get this pattern for this individual square, click on the link in the description below. Let's go over the materials you'll need. You'll need 3 different colors of yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn. This is actually a wool, okay? And we are working with contrast A, which is linen. It's a white color. Contrast B, which is suede, a beige color. And contrast C, which is VIP blue. They look like this. So this is contrast A, linen. B is the sort of beige color, and then VIP blue. And then I'm going to show you in this green color here. This is a green tea because it just shows up on camera better and it's not so dark. And then for the hook, you're going to need a USI or 5.5 millimeter hook, and you'll also need a tapestry needle. You only need to know how to single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and that is it. All right, let's begin. For part 1, all you're going to need is contrast C for this middle part. You need no other colors for this particular video. Click down below for a link to the pattern of the square. For right-handed video, find the link below, and for left-handed, you'll find the link below. Okay, so I've got my hook and I've got my yarn. We're going to make a slip knot. I wrap mine around my finger twice and put the back loop over the front, and then one more time up and over, and insert my hook. And make it however works for you, whatever is easiest for you. Before I move forward, just let you know, a stitch marker is great to have. You can keep track of your work and the stitches don't pull out, but also in the beginning of part 2, I'm going to use it for something specific to help you out. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head. All right, so we want to loosely chain 32. Don't try and chain way too fast. Want to make sure your foundation row is nice and loose. And the way I do that is I just chain them individually, slower, and make sure that I don't pull too tight. If you normally chain loose, it's totally fine. This is just going to make sure that you get it to the right size later on. And I'll talk a little bit about blocking and that kind of thing, but keeping it nice and loose works really well. Make sure that your yarn is nice and free from things pulling against it when you do this. Chain 32, pause your video, I will meet you back up and we will begin the foundation row. See you in a moment. All right, so the foundation row, this is the only time we use it like this. We're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So not the loop on the hook. We're going to go past the 1 into the 2 and single crochet. So we're going to pull up a loop and single crochet. So if you notice, I only went into this loop here, not the 2 loops down below, because that is going to be used for crocheting into later on, and it's easier to grab the 2 loops on there instead of the 1. So we're just going into this loop here, and we're just going to single crochet all the way across our foundation, so every single stitch. And pause your video. I'll meet you back up for the end of this chain or foundation row. See you in a moment. Okay, so we are at the end of our foundation row. I've got one more before the slip knot. You're not going to be trying to get into the slip knot, so we need to do this last single crochet. Okay, it's got a nice tidy end on it because we had left the, we were working into just the top bar only and not those bottom chains. And so now we just need to chain 1 and turn, and that's the end of our foundation row. And we want to single crochet into this first stitch here, and we want to go into these 2 stitches here. Let 2 stitches be on top of our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through, and that is our first single crochet. We're going to chain 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And we want to make sure that this is loose. Remember, I was talking about keeping it nice and loose. We don't want to be overly tight in this, this lacy look here. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches here. So this single crochet and this single crochet, we're going to the 3rd one. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, and this is our cluster. So I'll do it the first time, and then I'll slow it down the next one. So we're going to go into this 3rd stitch here. Make sure 2 loops are on top of your hook. Okay, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 only. Then we're going to do it again. Yarn over, insert into that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. Do it again. Yarn over, insert in the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. Okay, so we've done 3 of them here. Yarn over, insert into the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. And now you can see we have 5 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. Okay, and that is our first cluster. We're going to finish it out by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we repeat with a single crochet. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and go into the 3rd one. Single crochet. Go ahead and chain 3 times, and we're going to do that cluster one more time, again slow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so skip the next 2. We're going to go into this 3rd one, yarn over, insert into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. That's 1. Yarn over, insert into that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. That's 2. Yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only. Okay, that's 4. Yarn over. I'm sorry, that's we have 4 loops on the hook, that we've got 3 of these stitches. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we have 4 of these stitches here, and 5 loops are on the hook. Okay, yarn over and pull through all 5. And there we go. We've got another cluster, and then we just chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You're just going to continue all the way down to the end until you complete the very last. Actually, just pause at the last cluster down here, and we'll finish it off together. Pause video, and I'll see you then. Okay, so I finished my last cluster, chained 3, and then we're going to go into this very last stitch here for a single crochet, and that finishes out the row, except we need to do one more thing, which is chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we can turn to move on to row 2, which is we're going to single crochet into the top of the first cluster right here. Go right into there, right where everything's joining up. All right, single crochet. And then we want to chain 2. 1, 2. And then you're going to go down to this single crochet on here. And in order to get the height back up, you want to double crochet. So we're yarn over, insert into that stitch there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And then you're going to chain twice. So 1, 2, and one way to remember is row 1 we're going to be making 3 chains in between the stitches. Row 2 we go 2 chains in between, and then the 3rd row you'll find out we're not doing a bunch of chains in between at all. So anyway, hopefully you can kind of remember that. So there's 3, and then 2 is on row 2, and then you're just going to single crochet into the next cluster there, and then chain 2. 1, 2, double crochet in the top of that next single crochet, and chain twice, and then keep repeating. Okay, and then it should start looking like this. And then I'll meet you back at the end of the row to complete that and move on to the next part. See you in a moment. I'm at the last cluster, single crochet. Okay, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then finish out the row with a double crochet in that very last stitch. Double. All right, and you want to chain 1 and then turn, and we begin row 3, and this is the last row in the repeat that we'll be doing. So we're going to be doing a single crochet in the top of this double crochet, so just go right into that stitch. Okay, and then this next chain 2 space, we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then the single crochet that's on top of the cluster, just go right in there and do 1 single crochet. And then the next chain space, we're going to be making a single crochet and another single crochet. And then now we have a double crochet, so we're going to go right into the top of that and single crochet. So you're just simply going to be single crocheting twice in the chain spaces and then once in the top of the single crochet on the cluster and the double crochet here. Pause your video and meet me back after this last single crochet because it's going to be a little different at the end. See you in a moment. Okay, so the end of row 3, you're just going to go into this last space here and make 3 single crochets. This is the only place where you're going to do that. All right, so 3 single crochets and then chain 1, and then you're going to turn, and then you're going to repeat rows 1 through 3 for the pattern 6 times more, and that will get you roughly an 8 by 8. And you'll want to stay to the end because I want to show you and talk about how you complete it and get it ready for the next round and working on the border. So let's go ahead and begin row 1 just to show you again one more time. We're going to go into this first single crochet and make a single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, because this is the first time we're going into single crochets and not the foundation, so I definitely want you to see that. So we're going to skip the next 2 single crochets. So you're going to skip this one and this one. You're going to go into this one, which is directly above where you've been before. We're going to yarn over and insert into our stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, okay, and then yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through all 5. Okay, and then we just chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we skip the next 2 stitches, next 2 single crochets, and we're just going to single crochet right into that. Okay, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and make another cluster. So just skip the next 2 stitches, go into here, and start making our cluster here. Okay. All right, so pause your video, continue working on that, and I'm going to go up a few row repeats so you can see what this looks like as you progress, and we'll continue on together. See you in a minute. After I've done a few of the repeats, I wanted you to see what these look like. The clusters are more pronounced on one side every other row. So as I'm working across this direction, you can see it's sort of the back of it. It's more concave, and then this part protrudes out. It pops out more. So you can see how this part comes out more and this part does, and then this one goes in. And so it gives it that leaning slightly. So it looks like you've got a row of dancers this way, and then the backs are the other way. So, you know, they're just kind of meandering this way and that. So anyway, all right, keep moving on and do your repeats, and I'll see you at the end to complete. All right, just putting on these last final 3 single crochets to end row 3. And then we're just going to trim and cut our yarn. I've actually already cut mine. And then we're going to pull it on through and finish that off. Just grab a tapestry needle, and I'll show you on one stitch at the very end of this series. But for now, all you have to do is just go through and go right through this chain here, and then pull that all the way through, making sure that you're not squishing that up, and then come just kind of follow these stitches here, and that's a great way to finish that off, and then clip it after you've gone a few inches in, and then do the same thing down here. And then you'll want to block this. I just do a wet block. You can also steam block it. Just be careful not to kill your yarn, especially if you're not using a wool yarn. Block it out to an 8x8 size, 8 inches by 8 inches, which I believe is 21 or 20.5 centimeters. So an 8x8 block. And I just recommend doing that. That way you know that you have a 12x12 once we're finished with it. And anyway, we will see you on part 2 and 3 to finish your borders. Part 1 will work with borders with border rounds 1 through 3, and then the remaining will be on the 3rd part. If you want to just use this stitch pattern for a main stitch pattern for something else, you probably want to block it a little bit or add a nice a border to keep it from rolling. And thank you so much for joining me. Happy knitting and crochet. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.